Microphone.
Get the smaller mic.
Yeah. Still, no microphone's kind of weird. Let's see. God, I don't do this panel very often. It's the Greg Ayres show. This is kind of a fun panel because I'm doing, like I did a serious panel earlier about the state of the industry and fan subbing, and tomorrow I'm doing a panel on voice acting. But this is kind of the only panel where you can ask me whatever questions you want about shows. This is the panel where if you want to ask me what my favorite line from a show was, you can. I can talk about my new show or on High School Homework. Host Club. I play the gayest character in that show. Powder is so gay. His brother is not gay, but Powder is no.
Everyone in Powder is gay.
I love Powder.
I do too. And there's a boy that Cowder loves somewhere too. But anyway, so this is just kind of the fun panel, and I love it because so many panels we do, we don't have an open forum for people to just ask questions or just chat or whatever. First of all, I'm having a great time. This is a great show. I've really enjoyed meeting everybody. Those of y'all that have found me know I can usually be found where people smoke cigarettes or drink coffee. So now you know where to find me. A lot of people didn't recognize me. I heard they were like, "Oh my God, you were standing in front of us earlier." A lot of people don't recognize me because I recently shaved my head, and I normally have really long purple or pink or
Yeah.
If you look, I've dyed my scalp blue, and usually my hands follow when I dye my hair because I can't keep my hands out of my hair. And I'm ADD. I'm sure that's a shock to all of you. I'm what? I'm ADD and I work for ADV. But I guess I have to start with the introduction. So, my name is Greg Ayres. I'm a voice actor for ADV Films in Houston, Texas, and Funimation Entertainment, a division of the Navarre Corporation, in Dallas, Texas, where now we've moved to the funniest named city. It's in Flower Mound, Texas. That's just so homey and Texas. Like, where's the studio? In Flower Mound. One of those kind of
Can you
Texas
say in a
names.
Texas accent?
I don't have a Texas accent, but that's another story. I'll talk about that. God, and I took a shower and my fingernails are dirty. I started voice acting roughly about 7 years ago. I've been an anime fan since I was 16, and I'm old now, so that means I've been watching anime a long time. But I was originally that kid that didn't watch anything in English. I was that, I hate English, I would never watch it in Japanese, I hate English. So that's what you get when you're that big of a hater. What I ended up doing for a living. My first role, I auditioned for ADV for almost a year before I ever got cast in anything. I think the first thing I was brought in to audition for was a show called Spriggan. They needed a little bitty kid who could be super evil, and I was working at a law firm at the time, which is hysterical to think that I ever worked in a law firm. I was a big wirehead. I was an IT guy. I did support and back-end development of software. And Monica Rial and Chris Patton, who had both worked with me on stage in Houston for years, they were trying to find, normally they don't cast little kids in roles because one, the attention span problem, and two, you can only work kids so many hours. There are exceptions to the rule, exceptional actors like Aaron Dismuke, they make exceptions for kids that are just really that good. But they were looking for somebody that sounded like a kid, and my friends, Monica told Matt Greenfield and Stephen Foster, hey, call my friend at his job. He works in a law firm. He's in his 30s, but he sounds like he's 12. And so that's kind of how it all started. And so I was at my desk one day taking angry help desk calls from overprivileged lawyers. They were like, here's my PowerPoint isn't working. Here's I can't find my any key on my keyboard, like that.
I love that.
And all of a sudden, this really effeminate man's voice came across my phone that was like, oh my God, you do sound just like a little child. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what attorney is that? So then it was like, oh, I'm sorry, my name is Stephen Foster, I work for AV Films, and so I went in and auditioned. And the funny thing is, an actor that would later become a big deal at ADV, it was up to me and this one kid for the role. It was Kevin Korn, who played Daisuke and Dean Angel, opposite me. But the funny thing is, at the time, Kevin Korn was only 10 years old, I think. So you have a 10-year-old and a 34-year-old, maybe. up for the same role, and the last audition, when it was between he and I was actually mad dogging him in the room where we were auditioning. I was just like, because I knew it was between the two of us, and I thought to myself, I'm like, grow up. You are mad dogging a 10-year-old who's probably peeing on himself right now. You're scaring this little kid. Well, the funny thing is, later in an interview when we were about to audition for Dean Angel, I really wanted to play Niwa in Dean Angel. I did not want to play Satoshi originally. I had my heart set on Daisuke. And I was in an interview, and I made a joke. They said, well, are there any shows that you're looking forward to auditioning for? And I was like, yeah, I'm really looking forward to auditioning for Dean Angel. I said, and if Kevin Korn suddenly appears missing, I suggest you check a small, shallow grave in my backyard. I was kidding. Oh! So, like, poor Kevin, when we finally met each other during the Dean Angel recording process, he was like, hi. Like, he's like, you're that mean guy. So I auditioned. I didn't get that role. I auditioned for Generator Doll. I auditioned, bye. I auditioned for a lot of other things, and they kept telling me, they're like, we love your voice, it is so weird, we want to use you for something, we just haven't figured out the right place for you. And so, about a year later, I got a call to audition for a show called Steel Angel Karumi, which boys love that show because it is very jiggly. And I played like a little teenage kid. My claim to fame in that show is I was the first person to curse in that show. And they kept telling me, they're like, this is a little bitty role, but we have a really cool role for you later in the show. And so I came back later to play this very yaoi-rific character named Mikhail, and they're like, you're going to have to kiss a boy in one of the scenes, which is funny because the boy was actually played by Keira Vincent Davis. So if you want to get technical, I would be kissing a girl. But it's voiceover, so I'm not kissing anybody. They're like, do you have a problem with that? And I'm like, no. And they're like, okay, well, once you do, you won't play that character anymore, somebody else will. It's basically, and this show has been out for years and years and years, and I don't think it's spoilerific to say just this, but once my male character kisses Nakahito, he turns into a giant, very curvy female robot. The coolest thing about that, though, is the person that would end up sharing that role with me was Claudia Black from Farscape. It was really weird because I was like, she and I don't sound anything alike. And when I finally saw the end product, I'm like, wow, we really do sound just alike. So it was really neat. So my first villain I actually shared with a really well-known film star, because she was the chick that got ripped in half in Pitch Black. So yeah, she's amazing. So the funny thing was, as an anime fan, I was kind of satisfied with just that. I was like, man, if I died tomorrow, I can say I was in an anime. And I was taking my vacation time at work to do this, and I didn't think this is what I was going to do for a living. And then they call me in for another show. They're like, there's another show we want you to audition for, and basically anybody with they said basically all the boys, is going to be in this show. And I'm like, really, what show is that? And they're like, Sayuki. And I was like, well, as a fan, I was a huge fan of Sayuki. And this is back before I knew buying Hong Kong bootleg discs was bad. I mean, I had the whole bootleg version of it. But I was a big fan of that show, and the cool thing about it was when they told me they wanted me to audition for one of the leads in Sayuki, I knew it had to be my favorite character. I am not a gun-flinging, cigarette-smoking priest type. I'm not an ugly, scared of the water sprite, and I'm really not calm enough to play Hakai. So I thought the only role I was going to be auditioning for was Son Goku. And so I went into that audition just like, boing, boing. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was totally ridiculous that day, and I got that role. And the funny thing is, from that point on, it was just a landslide of audition and lucky breaks. I went from that to Full Metal Panic, playing the little panty thief in Full Metal Panic, Shinji Kazuma. And the funny thing is, I was having to take time off